Hello, fellow traders. Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Thursday, June the 3rd. The year is 2021. Let's talk trading. Hold Folder Bank, Part 3 with Walmal. Part 3, just like Part 1 and 2 and all the videos, are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and from Walmal's. Walmal, we were just talking about the speed of light. but,
Things,
you know, but
things.
what we kind of were talking about was a trader just wanted me to modify some fractal code, and my reply was, fractals repaint. When people talk about repainting, there's something that I was working with fractals back in around 2008 or 2009. There was some MT4 fractal indicator, or maybe it was TradeStation. I can't remember which, but it would repaint. And it was like, this is no good. So just stick with open, high, low, and close. Just draw horizontal lines, from the previous candle, and, trade what you see. I mean, it's that simple. Walmart, you said, we're wondering, why can't people stick with something so simple?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you just have a line on the chart, it's going to cross the line, and yes, sometimes you may only get a pip. Sometimes you may even lose, a couple pips, but that's the reality of trading. But if you can go and see and watch the chart, and get familiar with price and how price moves, when it crosses the line, you just go and take your profit when you can, and minimize your losses when you have to. And that's just how you do something. I want to bring up. I posted on the Facebook page my trades for today, or actually two of my trades for today. And it was a situation where, it was a pure Walmart trade, and I went long on these things, and I kind of broke the rules in one sense, because the rule says go and break it, at a 10 line. So in this case, I should have gone and taken my trade, excuse me, off of the 80 line, but I actually got in, a little bit early, and I got in like, I don't know, something like 79 something or 78 something, and the reason why was because what I saw was, just knowing what the pound does, we just had a nice little move down, and I knew there was going to be, not that I knew, but I had a really good inclination, I guess is a better way of putting it, that it was going to go and retrace before it went, and probably took another move down, which is exactly what it did. And I figured, I could pick up 2, 3, 5 pips on this deal or whatever, and I went in, and I was actually up maybe 2 pips. It crossed the line. I was up there 2 pips, and I said yesterday in yesterday's video, you need to know when, when to bank them. And I said, you know what, I don't think this is done just yet. And so it did go against me, went against me, and I was in drawdown for, I think, 2.2 pips, something like that. Nothing of any significance at all, but it went against me. I could have actually walked away with 2 pips in my pocket. And that's the risk that you always take. Now, what I did was I still felt the trade was good. So I held it, and it came back up, came to that same spot again. And I said, you know what, this is a really good place. I really like this area. I really think this is going to go up. And I put a second position on, and then I ran that up. And I think on one trade, if I recall correctly, I think got 8.4, and another trade I either got 8.2 or 8.6. And which was really nice. And that second trade never ever went into drawdown. And one of my rules is that don't enter on the first cross of the line. If I would have done that, I never would have gone into drawdown. But, I just, looking at price, seeing how the pound moves, that was just a good, I felt confident that, I could make money there, and I was willing to go and take that risk of some drawdown. And that's the whole thing, we talked about it the last couple of days of, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to bank them, and you just got to go and do that. And part of that is going to be experience. You go to the poker table, the guy who usually wins is the guy, that one's got some skill, and that skill is usually based on some experience.
Right.
And I think this because I know you like to go and play pool, and you were talking earlier about playing pool, and it's one of those things where you could have all the technical skills in the world, but you can still lose.
Yeah, and part of what I was saying about keeping it simple, and people might wonder what's that got to do with hold 'em and fold 'em or bank 'em. Well, if you don't have simple methods and you're trading in real time, there's going to be too much brain power that you're using. Too many thought processes, and you're going to get tired. And then you get tired, and you might start making mistakes, or you might hesitate, or instead of clicking in when you should have, you might miss that entry, and maybe you're spending a pip more than you have to, and that pip could be the difference between exiting with the profit and stopping out. And so
Exactly right.
the thing is, back to the three-legged stool, people try to find the method, but if you don't have your money management / risk management in place, doesn't matter the method. And even more importantly, even though they're all of equal importance, but just the way we talk, we say even more important, is your brain management, your psychology. Because if you're not successful trading, say, the Walmal method, it's not the method per se. There's something about you, because if one person can do it and they can describe it as a process and show you day after day after day, and you're out there struggling, either A, you're not learning the method, or B, you probably have some psychological things going on that are working against you. Would you agree there, Walmal?
Yeah, I would. And the only thing I would add to it is that the reality is that I say this all the time. There's a million methods out there. There really is. You just go Google search. Okay, there's a million methods out there, and yes, some of them are actually they're trash. There's like somebody went and put together this quick method so that they can go and sell you a book, sell you a video series, so that they can go and make some money on it. But excuse me, there's a ton of methods out there that do work. But why is it that some people go out there and they can make money on it, and they tout how great it is, and other people are out there, struggling with it, and it's funny because the people who are struggling, they struggle, and most people, unfortunately, they don't go and wait till the end and figure it all out, and they finally just go and say, well, this method is crap, and they walk away from the table, and maybe they only had a week to go of more struggling before it actually finally comes together for them, and I was talking to one particular trader. He does a breakout type trade, very similar to the Walmal trade, but he does it off of the daily high and low, but very, very similar. And he told me that, there were several times in his trading career where what was happening was he finally thought he got it, and then it collapsed on him. Finally thought he got it, and it collapsed on him. And it did 2 or 3 times. And now, he feels that he's doing really well. He's finally got it all together, and he's been successful now for probably about 6 months or so. And I think that's the key. You got to stick to it. Stick to a method that looks like, statistically, this should work. Okay, if it should work statistically and it's not working, then, I don't want to be harsh or anything, but the reality is, if statistically it should work and it's not working for you, the problem is you.
Yeah.
That's a harsh thing to hear, but it's the truth.
You like being harsh.
No, I really don't. But the reality, and I don't mind being harsh, because I had to be harsh with myself. I was just like everybody else. I was a rabbit jumping from method to method to method until I found one that worked. So, what I think I really found was not the method so much as I found all the other pieces to the puzzle. I found the trade management. I went and found the money management. I found, and then with those 2 pieces in place, I was then able to go and work on my entries to make sure my entries are right and make sure my exits are right. And that's what I had to do to get to that point where I was consistently making money.
Yeah, so the hold'em is basically you hold with a method, and you stay with that method. You don't just fold that method because you tried it a couple of times and you didn't make money. It didn't make you 1,000 pips. and part of that is it's probably, check your expectations. Are they realistic, or are they pie in the sky? I mean, where does it fall? Hopefully it falls towards the realistic end. And I
Yeah,
think
and
that and the other part is, you know, and then the bank it is, when you find that method, um, you just stick with it. Every time and it's like it's in the bank. You've got it now, because there's just so many people out there. Like you said, the shiny object syndrome. Um, they see this new indicator. Oh, let's go take a look at it. And I look at people's stuff all the time for a couple of reasons. One, I might learn something, either A, from a trading standpoint, or B, from a coding standpoint. They
right.
might have a trick up their sleeve. Oh, I never seen it coded like that. Or, oh, hey, I can use that in some of my code. Um, and that's just it. You don't have to invent things from scratch. And I just chuckle when I see people come to a method, like the Walmal method, and before they've learned it, they're throwing squiggly lines on the charts, or they're doing this, or they want to change this. It's like, that's like going to a karate school and then trying to show the guy, boxing moves or something. It's just like, you got to learn the method. There's no difference.
That's exactly right. And the thing is, once you get that method down, and if you got the other parts of it down, you got your psychology and trade management and money management, you got all those other pieces down, you know what? You're in good shape. You really are. So, but the thing is, you got to work on all those things. And, it's sort of like, I know you like to play with cars, Tiro, and I'm not as big a fan with that as you are, but I do fix my own cars and everything. But if you got for instance, you got a 4-cylinder car, and only 3 of those cylinders are firing correctly, and the fourth one is always late, or is pre-igniting, what's going to happen? That car is going to run really, really rough. And at some point, it's not even going to get you back home. And that's just the reality. Well, trading is the same way. You got to have all of those things firing. Now, sometimes you can get lucky where, you really screw up on the trade management part of it. But at the same time, somehow at the end of the day, Lady Luck comes along and saves you for the day. But the thing is, you can't do that consistently. You got to have all those other pieces in place. And that's what you need to go and bank on. You got to bank on having all those pieces in place, and that you're constantly working on. And to be honest with you, some people have asked me why I look at all these other methods or whatever, just answering that question for myself, just like you did. And that is, the reason why is because it keeps me sharp. It keeps me thinking about what I'm doing. I don't want to get myself into a hole where, I get blinded and the only thing I see is what right in front of me, which sometimes can be a really good thing, but sometimes you can start not seeing the full picture. And so it just keeps my mind alert so that I'm constantly looking at the charts so I can see what I can see. And so it just makes me a better trader. Doesn't mean I go and try all those, or not. I probably do try all those methods, but I probably don't trade those methods for money anyway. I'll try them and see how they work out. I'll say, hey, that's pretty good. Or I'll say, well, that's probably not for me. And that's the whole idea of banking and holding and folding, and it's just pick what's going to work for you and then stick to it, and just stick to it. And the biggest element of all of that, and I say it just so often, is that find a method that works based on statistics. Don't find a method that Joe Blow down the block went and said he made 6 million pips on it, and just for $4.99 you can have it too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Well, guess what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is up. And the one thing is, there's a lot of these back test geniuses, and there's a lot of these, 0.01 pip for 1,000 pip geniuses out there, but that's really not the way to go. So, fellow traders, I hope you've enjoyed the hold, folder, bank series here. And just remember, when you sit down at your trading platform, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.